Hi everybody, it's Marc Laurenson here, and we're going to be looking at the sky for November 2020. And I mainly want to focus on two of the personal planets, Mercury and Mars, both turning direct this month. They've been retrograde for a few weeks now, and I just want to talk about what it means as two planets turn direct and go over the same area of the sky that they had retrograded through. Now, before I get into that, I just want to go over some dates with you. Now, we're going to start with Mercury first. And Mercury turns direct on November the 4th, which would be November the 3rd in other parts of the world, at 25 degrees of Libra. And so it went back into Libra. It retrograded back into Libra on October the 29th. As it retrograded back into Libra, it actually came into square with Saturn in Capricorn. And then as it turned direct, it stayed in square with Capricorn until the 7th, okay? Then it moved into, it's going to be moving into Scorpio on November the 11th. And then it retraces its steps, so to speak, meaning it's going to go direct over the area of sky that it retrograded through until November the 20th. Okay, so there are the dates for Mercury turning direct. Now, before I get into the Mercury side of things, I just want to go over something with you. Mercury, as we know, is about the way we think. Mercury is happening between our ears. So Mercury is about the gathering of information and the dispersing of information and communication. So it has everything to do with our thinking. So we have to be very, very conscious of every thought we have is either benefiting us in some way or it's going to be detrimental to us in some way. I don't think we realize the power and the strength of that. Many people now are coming to an understanding that our thoughts are creative, that our thoughts are energy, and therefore we create our lives with our thoughts. And Mercury has everything to do with this because Mercury basically is the way we think, the way we pick up the information, and the way we process information. So with that said, as it retrograded through Scorpio and then back into Libra, there is something about the retrograde energy of retracing, reviewing, reanalyzing, all those kind of rewords that go with retrogrades. And so we are given time to backtrack or to take a second look at a particular area of our lives. Now, as it's going to be turning direct again, what happens here is we're given a second chance. We're given a second chance to go over a particular area of sky that we've reviewed and do it again in a very different way. So now it's really, really important for us to come into a brand new way of understanding things or thinking about things, thinking about this particular area differently to the way we did it before. And hopefully we're going to be thinking about it in a more beneficial way, rather than actually going over the same area again and finding we're just creating the same stuff. This is our chance to see things from another perspective, to have a different idea about something. So be really, really aware of that kind of stuff this month, to be able to change your thoughts about something in a beneficial and productive way is super, super important. Now, it went back into Libra, as I said, on October the 29th, and it's going to be there until, was it the 11th? The 11th of November, it goes into Scorpio. And so Libra and Scorpio are they're very relationship-oriented signs. They're very people-oriented signs who are about interacting and intermixing and done in two very, very different ways, completely different ways. But we're going to be really looking and at the way we deal with other people over this period of time. So how we when it's in Libra, how we come into some kind of balance with other people, how we come into some kind of harmony or equilibrium or a sense of sharing or a sense of being able to see the two sides of the equation. That's going to be really important. And so you're going to be looking at you on the level of you being on one end of the scales, and of course somebody else or other people on the other end of the scales, and trying to find your way of coming into some kind of equilibrium or fairness between your needs and theirs. And so this is going to be a really important thing to rethink about, and to as it goes back, as it's retrograding, but as it starts to move forward, as of the 4th of November, we're going to actually start to feel the impetus moving forward, being able to put this area of life into some kind of movement, into some kind of activation. So be very conscious of what that means to you, and have a look, if you know your charts, have a look at where the tail end of Libra is for you in your charts, because that's a particular area it's going to focus on. Now, as it moves into Scorpio on the 11th of November, it's going to be retracing its steps until the 20th. And so it's going to be in Scorpio for a while after that too, of course, until the end of the month. But we're going to be going down a much, much deeper road here. So we're trying a new way of being able to understand ourselves with other people on the level of, I want to say, personal power and value. And it's a feeling of coming into contact with other people, from the level of how much we need from them, and how much they need from us, and how much we rely on them, and how much they rely on us. You know, that feeling of being intertwined with somebody else, or giving them the power to have some form of control over you, or you feeling the same, you feeling that you have a certain amount of control or power over somebody else. So you've got to be very, very conscious of the equalization of this as well over this period of time. And how is it working in your life? Are you feeling at the mercy of other people's reactions to you? Are you feeling underneath somebody else's responses to you? Are you constantly anxious or worried or stressed around somebody else feeling like they have more control over you than you do? You know, that kind of thing. So as Mercury is going direct over in Scorpio over the same area that it retraced, hopefully there was something over that period of time where you learnt lessons, so to speak, around this. Maybe you had to go through certain things, or maybe you just had to go back into particular habitual areas or behavioral areas in your life that brought this up for you. And now here is a new way, or a different way of being able to handle this area of your life a lot better. So many of us put so many eggs in other people's baskets with how we feel depending on them, how our lives are made or shaped by somebody else and somebody else's reactions or contact with us. And so it's really, really important to come into a place of self-empowerment in this particular area. Now, if you know the area that carries Scorpio for you in your chart, then that's the area that's going to be focused on with this particular energy. So be very, very careful about the choices you may make around this time. Now, as Mercury was retrograding and went back into Libra again, remember when I said at the very beginning of November, and it made a square to Saturn, I feel that at that particular time, like in the first week of November, you're going to have to make strong decisions about certain things. Mercury-Saturn square, it's the contraction of the Mercury, and it feels a little bit like I have to make a decision around something, and the decision might actually be something to do with the stuff that we talked about. And hopefully the decision you make will be a decision in your favor that is actually going to work for you, and you can actually start to move forward on that level, if you know what I mean. Unplugging the power you might give other people and taking it back into your life, so you can be a little tiny bit more, I want to say, emotionally brave as you enter further into November as well. Really important stuff to think about. Okay. So Mercury, Mercury asks questions. Mercury is a planet that's very, very curious. Mercury wants to understand, wants to know what's going on. And so as it starts to move forward, hopefully a lot of the questions you've been asking yourself are getting answered now. Mercury loves nothing better than those aha moments. Mercury knows nothing better than having pennies drop and going, I get it now. And so hopefully in that Mercury retrograde period, and as it's about to turn direct, that you got a few things, you understood a few things. As I said, you got some of your questions answered. And so you can move forward now with a tiny little bit more knowledge or a little bit more wisdom in these particular areas, and be able to take it on with a brand new way of thinking. And as I said, your thoughts are everything. So the way you think is going to be guiding you forward. So if you move forward in a much more a way of being able to put everything into some common sensey kind of place, for you to go, I know what that's all about now, so I can move forward feeling a lot more mentally clear. That's what it's about. So try your hardest to actually look at things more objectively and look at things on the level of what it's trying to teach you. If you do that, if you look at your life, and definitely astrology, with what life is trying to teach you, then the game is pretty much won that way, because hopefully you're going to be benefiting from everything that is going to be happening to you when you see where it's all coming from and why. Okay. So let's talk about Mars now. So Mars has been retrograde for a while, much longer than Mercury, and it turns direct on November the 15th. It's been in Aries. It's gone retrograde in Aries from, I think it was 28 or 29 Aries has started to go retrograde. And it's retrograded all the way back to 15 Aries. And so it turns direct on the 15th of November at 15 Aries. And interestingly enough, this is the exact day of the Scorpio new moon. So there's a renewal of sorts happening in the lunar month in Scorpio at that time. And with the impetus, with the new push forward of Mars in Aries in its own sign, it goes, as it starts to move forward again, it goes into square with the Capricorn, big Capricorn stellium, but that's not until next month. So I'll talk about that in next month's clip. So here we go. As Mars starts to move forward in Aries, hopefully that the period of time that it's been retrograding, the few weeks that it's been retrograding for us, has been a time of us being able to, I want to say, conserve energy. It's a time for us to actually pull back a little bit more on the stuff that does want to go forward. But you know, there's something that needs to be activated. There's something that needs to be energized. And it's just waiting until November 15 before it can actually start to do that. I always think that trying to activate things with Mars retrograde, things, you know, the wheels aren't turning very fast. You know, things feel a little bit like a stuck brake, or, you know, a stone in the wheel kind of thing. And it's not until it starts to activate. Now, when something turns direct, everybody, it doesn't speed up altogether immediately. It takes time. And so it's a slow burn. It's a slow getting its act together, but it is moving in the right direction now. When I say the right direction, I mean the forward direction now. And so anything that you've been planning, anything that you've been working on, anything that you've been putting a little bit more passive attention on or passive energy on, is now ready to move forward. And I always think that Mars retrograde has that feeling of being courageous, being brave. I think you've really got to stick your neck out when Mars is retrograding. I mean, it's not so much about being courageous in a forward-thinking way, because that's happening as it turns direct. But it is actually being courageous in its own way, as far as actually having to sit down and work out where to be brave next, you know, or where to actually face your challenges next. That's the bravery that comes from the Mars retrograde. Now, as it moves forward, I really think that there has to be something in us that needs to get something done. Now, I'm going to get a little bit dramatic here, and I'm going to say that you're on your deathbed, you know, when you're 103, and you're about to take your last breath, and you really, really are pissed off at yourself, or disappointed with yourself, or feel quite sad about some of the things that you didn't do. You know, I always wanted to do such and such, or, you know, that was a plan of mine, or, you know, that was on my to-do list or my bucket list, and I never did them. And doing something, getting something moving, getting something happening, is Mars stuff, And it's usually we're too scared, we're too chicken, you know, we'll find excuses, we'll put anything in our way. And we want to feel, as we're leaving this mortal coil and moving into the next dimension, we really want to feel that we got everything accomplished, or everything, all our desires were met, all of our needs were met, all of our wants were met. And that's Mars, and particularly in Aries. And so really and truly, this is a mini version of this. This is a mini version as it moves direct in Aries. This is a mini version of making sure we're doing something this month that kind of ticks something off our list. It makes us feel a little bit like that's something I really want to do, or that's something I really want to get happening or get moving. And it feels to me like we do have to step out. You know what I mean? We do have to be more, I want to say brave, but I don't want to keep using the same word all the time. It's a feeling, you know, it's a feeling of being able to show ourselves. It's a feeling of taking no for an answer. It's a feel like, bring it on, you know, bring it on and watch me conquer it, or watch me triumph over it. You know, it's got that feeling about it. It doesn't have to be that big, by the way. You know, it doesn't have to be that momentous. It just has to feel like you're not backing down anymore. And so here, with Mars in Aries moving forward, it has everything to do with that kind of feeling in your life. Now, if you know your charts and you know where Aries is in your chart, what house that Aries is in your chart or houses, then check out where it's going. Check out the house it's moving through, and it'll give you a really good idea of the area of life that you need to actually do all this stuff. So I'm jumping towards the end of the month now, and we're talking about Venus, and she moves into Scorpio on November the 22nd. So she changes her vibe quite dramatically from Libra to Scorpio. Libra to Scorpio is a very, very powerful shift of energy. She comes into opposition with the Moon and Uranus on the 28th, okay? So that's going to be an interesting day or two as she does that. Now, as she moves into Scorpio, I always think that just Scorpio as a sign is after peak experiences. It's after edgy experiences. Scorpio is looking for the orgasm in life. And I don't mean that sexually, though it can be, of course. It's more about being able to walk the climax of things in life. And so Venus in Scorpio is wanting to take her love, her security, her comfort, her need for connection. Money can come into this, definitely partnerships, wants to take it to the next level, wants to take it into the depths of the real stuff. It's about truth. It's about honest truth. But you know what it will bring up? It will bring up all of your insecurities, particularly on the level of your personal power. So if you're a jealous type, if you're a type that compares yourself against somebody else, if you're a type that's covetous, or a type that wants to not feel less than, or not feel not insecure, but not feel underneath somebody else, that kind of thing. If that's what you're worried about, if that's what you're anxious about, as Venus goes through Scorpio, these kind of things will be brought up for you, definitely. And so they're brought up for one reason and one reason only, and that will be to teach you something, and that will be to heal you on this level. And so for you, this is about your personal power as far as your value is concerned. So it's going to be a really important time to start looking at your value and how valuable you are, and how, I want to say how exciting you are. I want to say how magnificent you are. I want to use those kind of words because those kind of words are all very Scorpio when it reaches its heights. And so I want you to get into areas of your life where you recognize this about yourself. So you can actually start to ride the Venus in Scorpio in a much, much more powerful way than feeling like you're going to get run over by it, if you know what I mean. Now, as I said, towards the end of the month, it comes into opposition with Uranus, and the Moon is going to be transiting over Uranus at that particular time as well. So this is going to emotionally highlight this area for you. So it's only going to be a couple of days, but there's going to be a real push-me-pull-you going on. It's the freedom-closeness dilemma thing. It's like having Venus-Uranus in your natal chart. Of course, Venus-Uranus in your natal chart is going to be much, much stronger because it's part of your soul story. But you're going to get a little feeling of what it feels like, in that I want it, then I want to pull back. I need it, then I want to pull back. And so you're going to have this kind of feeling over the couple of days with this feeling of wanting to to get close and then wanting your freedom or individuation. So it will be really interesting to watch how it gets played out in those couple of days. Is it going to get played out with somebody else who is actually going to pull away from you for a little while? And you're going to have to look at how you cope with that and how well you cope with that? Or are you going to be the one who feels, oh my God, I feel a little bit suffocated here. I feel like I need some air, and you need to pull away from something and then have a good look at the way you need to individuate or you need to find your freedom. Who knows how it's going to play out? Nobody really knows how it's going to play out, but it will play out in some way. It's a quick transit. It's not a long one. And so it's not going to be earth-shaking or earth-shattering, but it is going to be something on the level of a couple of days where this particular energy issue, dilemma, whatever you want to call it, will arise somewhere. Now, if you've got particular planets that are involved in these areas, then you're probably going to feel it a little bit stronger, a little bit more. So you'll know that by your natal charts. You'll have to look at your natal charts to see exactly where the it's around 10 degrees of 10, 11 degrees of Taurus, Scorpio. That's where it will be. Okay, so that's November of 2020. So let's hope that we can actually surf this energy well and make this month something really, really special.